I'd like to welcome everybody. I think the turnout is just amazing. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but there are 200 participants today, so we really appreciate your coming today. So I want to thank you. UPMC is very excited to work with such a highly regarded clinical partner as Bon Secours to share best practices and reach more patients with world-class care closer to home. The new radiotherapy facility in Cork will also share in the learning and best practices of the Whitfield Cancer Center in Waterford, serving cancer patients in Southeast Asia, I just came back from there, so in the Southeast for more than a decade. I thought I'd take a couple minutes and just explain how we actually ended up in Ireland. Some of you may know this story. Back in 2005, there was a public outcry to bring radiotherapy to Waterford. And based on the experience that we have had around the world, particularly in bringing transplant services to other parts of the world, we were contacted by some Irish colleagues and said, would you be interested in potentially bringing radiotherapy to the southeast part of Ireland? And we said, well, we certainly would like to consider it. And so we came here. And the first thing that happened was we drove into Waterford, and many of you may remember there was these big signs all over the mountain as you go in saying, please bring radiotherapy to Waterford. So we thought that they were actually directing that at us, which they weren't. They were actually directing it at the time, the Taoiseach Bertie Ahern, who the next day was driving in, and there was this very quiet protest in favor of bringing radiotherapy. And as he was driving through the city, the population that came out for this protest were throwing tulips at him. So it was a very civil protest, and it certainly caught our attention. The day after that, we met with Taoiseach Mary Harney, and to see what her thoughts were on us coming into Ireland to do this, because we certainly didn't want to come in without some blessing of the Department of Health or the HSE at that time. And we explained to her what our plans were, and that we were going to develop, frankly, what's very similar to what we're going to be developing here in Cork. And she said to us, well, how long do you think that'll take you? And we said, well, probably 18 months to 24 months. She looked at her finance assistant who was sitting next to her, and she said to him, how long would it take us to do this? And he said, probably 8 to 10 years. Well, that led to her giving us at least an informal blessing to go ahead and develop this. And I think what we're most proud of is that today patients do not have to travel, whether they're public or private, the 2 or 3 hours at that time that it would take to get to Dublin or back to actually obtain those kinds of services. So while we're very proud of what we've been able to develop from a business perspective, we're far more proud of the fact that we've been able to ensure that we've been able to bring radiotherapy closer to home. And actually, there's an individual in the room, Dr. Gordon Watson, who was one of the visionaries behind that, and I really want to thank him for his vision for helping us put that together. So I also wanted to talk about some other initiatives that are going on that we think will be really help set the foundation for our relationship with Bon Secours and really bringing cancer care to a whole nother level in this part of Ireland. So some of you may have heard about the announcement last week that the UPMC made regarding the Immune Transplant and Therapy Center. We refer to it as the ITTC. It's a collaboration between the University of Pittsburgh and UPMC, and as part of this collaboration, we're investing $200 million to commit to translational research related to aging, cancer, and transplant services, but most of it cancer-related. We will initially focus on cancer and other chronic diseases, and our primary goal is obviously to really improve the lifestyle and improve the length of life and quality of life for all those patients that we come in contact with. Shortly after we finish here, Dr. Zarur from UPMC Hillman Cancer Center, one of our colleagues, will present on the topic of immunotherapy innovation. But first, I would like to share with you a brief video called The Future of Immunotherapy, featuring UPMC and the University of Pittsburgh healthcare leaders discussing the overall goals of the ITTC and the immunotherapy research. To put some context around this, we launched this last week. We made the announcement about this investment, and we are unaware of any other single institution anywhere in the world that's taking their own money and actually investing it into immunotherapy. And as I said, we believe that the opportunities for what we're going to be developing in research and development in Pittsburgh will automatically transfer over and be in the future, some of this is somewhat futuristic, but within the 2 to 5 year range, we'll be able to start doing these kinds of novel therapies here in Ireland. So without further ado, I'd like InvestNet to go ahead and put the video on. Thank you.
The body's immune response is very important.
Our immune system protects us from cancer.
Also helps us fight infections.
Activation of the immune system is bad for you as we age.
The combination of the advances in science and technology now allows us to really take our own immune system and augment it to a new level.
Unlocking novel strategies for fighting disease.
Make the immune system of the patient win rather than the cancer win.
We may be able to come up with regimens that will allow us to minimize or maybe even eliminate the need for long-term anti-rejection medications.
And our goal really is not to make necessarily people live longer, but really to make people live healthier lives.
We are harnessing the power of our shared expertise in the life sciences to build an innovation district where our ideas can connect with companies
To save lives and to improve health. Together with UPMC, we are creating the ecosystem that will make this happen.
With our partnership with University of Pittsburgh, we not only can give the best state-of-the-art care, but we can develop the next era of care. And doing that here and being the first and teaching the world how to do this is exciting.
So thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we really hope that you'll enjoy the symposium. Thank you.